We often get caught up in fixing weaknesses. But what if the key to greater success lies in maximizing what you're already good at? Today, we will explore what our strengths are and how we can start utilizing them. Welcome to this week's episode of TUF Coffee Shop Talk. I'm your host, Rhonda Lavoie. Each week, I meet with the members from the TUF Collaborative to chat about varying topics. And each week, you can join me here as I review the topic of the week. We have a wide range of topics, discussing anything from business building techniques to personal development ideas. And the best part is, I feel that the topics can touch anybody, no matter what your adventure in life is. If you're self-employed, entrepreneur, working in a corporation, stay-at-home parent, retired, or even in between jobs, I think there's just a little bit for everyone. So I'd like to dive right in. Let's get to this week's conversation of the week. I don't know about you guys, but I often want to be good at everything. I want to be able to do a little bit of everything. And I've spent a lot of my business life, well, heck, probably my adult life, working on tackling challenges kind of on that head on and trying to learn new things that I've never done before. And there's truly nothing wrong with that. But there comes a point where you need to accept that even though you can do something, doesn't mean that you should. For instance, in my business, of course, because it's a business, I have to manage my books, or books need to be managed is probably a better way to put it. You know, all the pesky expenses and income lines and all of those things that need to be done to understand how your business is performing, and also to file your taxes annually, because of course the government wants their little bit. Sometimes it's a big bit, but anyway, that piece of my business just does not fill my cup. I am capable of doing it. I've even gone so far as to learn different things in QuickBooks and all of those things. And I spent a lot of energy trying to figure out all of those things. But if I would have learned a lot sooner that is one of my weaknesses, and a weakness that I don't necessarily need to improve, I could have been spending more time improving something I'm already good at and making myself great at it. So in today's episode, I want to talk about just the different areas that we can have strength in, and I'll help you identify what your strengths might be. We'll go over kind of a list of some examples so that you can kind of trigger on the different areas. And then I'll also dive into common strengths that people in the industry of the membership members. So in our membership, we have primarily real estate agents, lawyers, and lenders or mortgage associates. We'll dive into those worlds to talk about the different strengths that each of those professions typically have, so that maybe you can connect with them to see, what are the strengths that you have, and should I be, strengthening those, and then the things that I have that aren't as strong, what to do with them. So to start, I just want you to kind of put this question in the back of your mind. When you're thinking about improving yourself in some manner, reading some sort of self-help book, listening to podcasts, taking a course, getting mentorship, whatever that might be, I want you to ask yourself, am I trying to improve or fix a weakness, or am I improving upon a strength? And then the next step will be, if it is a weakness, is this a weakness that I must know? And there's going to be answers. Sometimes the answer is yes, it's essential that you improve in that area. But sometimes it's not. And I'm going to loop back to that just closer to the end of the podcast. Now I just kind of like to dive into just a little bit of an exercise for you to self-reflect to determine what are the things that you really do have as strengths. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. What aspect of your work do you genuinely enjoy? What tasks do you consistently excel at? What positive feedback do you regularly receive from clients or colleagues? When do you feel most energized and in the zone? And lastly, what are you naturally curious about in your field? With these questions in mind, now I'm going to go through a list of different strengths that individuals will have. And you can see if any of these resonate with you and that line up with your answers to the questions. So first off, networking and relationship building. Are you good at creating and maintaining connections with clients and other professionals? Does it light you up to be in a room with your peers or potential clients? Are you able to connect with them and feel comfortable right off the bat? And is it something you enjoy working at? Or another skill could be negotiation. Some agents, as an example, love to negotiate. They love the back and forth and the being able to find the best outcome for their clients. Is this something that you like? How about marketing and presentation? Being able to market your properties or yourself is essential in my business, and having that as a strength is, would be a huge asset for you. Effectively promoting it and your services, your ideas, all of that is amazing. And this could be on social media or through direct marketing, email marketing. Like there's just so many ways. Is this an area that you feel good about and that lights you up and that you're good at? How about financial analysis and problem solving? Maybe being able to understand the financial data behind something is something that you're good at and something that you enjoy doing. Is that an area that you're good at? Client communication and education. So that clearly bringing information to your clients and guiding them through processes or the services that you have. Is that an area that you excel at and that lights you up? Or maybe it's research and analysis. In real estate, we have to dig into the numbers and see, for pricing houses, or we can even be doing analysis on market trends and different things like that. Is that something that lights you up? Or perhaps you're a detailed oriented and organized person, maintaining the great files and systems, checking things twice, very high level accuracy. Is that an area that you're excelling at that's one of your strengths? Maybe you're great at managing your time management. This is a real struggle for a lot of people, but maybe this is something you're really great at, that you can create deadlines for yourself and time block and do all of those things, manage your tasks efficiently. Maybe you're adaptable, adaptability to the change in day-to-day activities or, market trends, different things like that. Being able to adjust and shift quickly is definitely a strength. So maybe that's an area you have as a strength. And I just need you to keep in mind that you're not going to have just one of these things. You're going to have multiple strengths. So you're not just trying to find the one. You're looking for several. And as you're going down the list, you might be going, well, that's definitely a weakness. That's a weakness. That's a strength. It's okay to have a mix of both. What I'm hoping you'll do is you'll find a handful that you connect with to determine if those strengths are something that you want to dial into a little bit more so that you can build on yourself and perhaps your business. Okay, so back to the list. What about problem solving? Can you identify and implement effective solutions? Is that something that you can do? Maybe you like to have challenges come your way so that you can solve that problem. I certainly enjoy that. When I went into real estate, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get into it is that I get kind of bored really easily. So I like to have challenges. And solving problems is a big part of that because I get to work with different clients all the time, and every client has a different situation, which is almost like a little mini puzzle for me because I need to solve the problem of what do they want? What is their budget? How do I get it? What's the timing look like? So problem solving is definitely something that I enjoy. Maybe you're an active listener. This is a great strength for people in my industry because being an active listener and actually, giving your client the time to talk, it's key, but it's a strength that doesn't come naturally to most people in my industry. So it's sometimes something that people work at. Empathy. Maybe you have great empathy and it's easy for you to understand and share the feelings with others and just be able to relate in that way. Or another one would be maybe you're super creative. Maybe you're great at coming up with new ways to do things, different approaches. All of these are just so interesting. But that's a list of strengths, and obviously not a all-inclusive listing. Like there's definitely more strengths out there, but these are strengths that would connect with many of the people in the membership. So they're ones that we talked about. But as I went through that list, did you connect with any of those strengths? And are they things that you could look at expanding on? So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because sometimes it's not even so much that we need to improve our strength. It's that because we're working so hard to get good at so many things, we sometimes start to underutilize our strengths. It gets kind of diluted. So I'm just going to talk a bit about some of the different strength areas and what it looks like to underutilize it, and then what it'll look like if you tap into it and leverage it. So networking and relationship building. Maybe you're relying solely on online leads or not actively cultivating past relationships. But if you were to leverage that a little bit, you could maybe host client appreciation events or create a referral program, become a local community expert, sponsoring different local events, partnering with complementary businesses, say, mortgage associates or interior designers, and start leveraging your ability to network. And you'll see, that blossom in your business. But if you don't tap into that and you just underutilize it, you're missing an opportunity. Or maybe your strength is marketing and presentation. So maybe you're just using generic listing descriptions and, not hiring a photographer. If you leveraged it, you could be creating, really great narratives on your listings for real estate agents, or investing in professional photography, utilizing social media more effectively, highlighting different neighborhoods and features. And, there's just lots of things you could be doing if you leveraged your strength of marketing. Where if you just kind of put it aside because you're concentrating on other things, you could be missing a huge opportunity. Or maybe you're good at, running numbers and analytics. For me in real estate, that could be, determining market trends and looking at the numbers to see, what information is there. If I didn't dive into that, it would be impossible for me to be able to bring that information to my clients. But because it's something that interests me, I'm able to generate different graphs and different information to be able to present it to my clients and to the market on the different trends that I'm seeing. So it again allows me to be more visible and highlight my strengths by tapping into it a little bit. So how do we stop underutilizing our strengths? How do we stop ourselves from diluting everything and only being mediocre at everything, or poor to mediocre at everything? Well, one of the biggest things you can do is you can delegate tasks. So delegate the things that don't align with your strengths, the things that don't fill your cup. Have someone else do that work for you. Hire a VA or, outsource your bookkeeping as an example, so that you can free up that time and that energy. Because let's face it, when you try to do things that you are not good at or that do not energize you, it can take so much energy just to get you to do it, that if you were to get that time and that energy back, you could focus on something you're strong at and just really strengthen that area of your business and really see some production. It's so funny how, we'll spin our wheels on things that we don't love to do. And it seems to take forever because we're constantly convincing ourselves that we need to do this and that we need to get it done and that we can do it. That if we just remove that altogether, the hours of time that we've taken to try and get that done is utilized so much better somewhere else. Or maybe you're good at something, you have a strength in something, but you don't have the confidence. Maybe you're afraid to be good at it. You know in your heart that you are, but maybe you're afraid to show it to the world. So I would challenge you to just start with some small, manageable steps. Build yourself some confidence in your strengths. And then that'll help you overcome your fear. Social media is a really good example of this. Social media, as everybody knows, because most of you are on social media, it's a scary world, right? And it's a very comparative world. So you'll be looking at the outside world, looking at all of the things that all of these people are doing, and you think, oh, that's scary. I don't want to compete with that. But you know in your heart that you could do it. You're just afraid to put yourself out there. So I say, start small. Just do one and see what happens, and then another and then another, and build on it. And I think you'll probably find that once you tap into your strength and set aside some of your fears, you'll really start to shine. Another area that will hold us back is perfectionism. I've talked about this on the podcast before, that so many people strive for perfect, but perfect isn't something that actually exists. It's not actually possible. So setting aside that just because you have a strength in something doesn't mean that you need to be perfect in that strength, that you will be building upon it with time, and that it's okay to not get it perfect, that not doing so isn't a weakness. It actually shows strength if you can put yourself out there, if it's not perfect in your mind. And truly, getting something out there is so much better than not getting it out there at all. So working on yourself in, removing that idea of perfect will certainly go a long ways in helping you stop underutilizing your strengths. So now that we understand that we can be building on our strengths instead of our weaknesses, we're going to approach it very much the same as we've been approaching, improving our weaknesses, but we're going to be searching for things to improve on our strengths. So once you've identified that strength, I want you to start finding resources to help you improve those. You can, search online courses, find a mentor, join networking groups, just anything to be able to help you build on whatever that strength is so that you can really tap into it and really utilize it. And of course, set some goals for yourself. Now that you've identified what these strengths are, what are some goals that you could have that, will help you grow it and strengthen it? And with goals, it's always nice to have some sort of accountability. So find an accountability partner or, work with your mentor, some sort of system in place so that you can, keep yourself or someone keep you accountable to trying to achieve those goals. And you'll find as you build on these strengths and set aside the weaknesses or farm out the weaknesses, that your business and your career will grow, because it's so much easier to get momentum at something you're good at than something that you're weak at. And when I say it, it's so simple. Yet we go through life trying to be good at everything. So take a different approach, step back, find what your strengths are, and work on them. If you're having a hard time figuring out what your strengths are, one of the easiest ways to do this is to go to your peers. So talk to your friends, talk to your coworkers, talk to your spouse, your parents, your family, and ask them what are the things that you think I do well? Because when they look from the outside in, it's obvious to them. It's just not as obvious to you. And it's really interesting. I've done this in the past where I've just out of the blue text a bunch of my friends and my family and say, hey, what are some of the things you think I do well? What are the things that you look up to me for, or you wish you could do that I do well? And it's very enlightening when they come back with those things, and it really helps you understand that. So if you're having a hard time figuring that out, or if you just want to feel really great about yourself, ask this question of your friends, because it really points out the things that you do well. Plus it also helps to have your friends and family tell you the things that they think that they do well. It's definitely a pick-me-up. But at the same time, sometimes they're going to point out things that you don't think you're great at, or that might be surprising. So just be prepared, because sometimes it might be something that you didn't expect, which is kind of fun. Well, that concludes our episode today. Thanks so much for being here. It really does mean a lot to me. If you haven't already, please subscribe or hit that follow button, as I'd love if you came back week to week. And if you really loved what you heard, I would be completely honored if you would go give me a 5-star rating on whatever podcast listening platform you use. If you're looking for more information on the membership, check out tufinstitute.com. That is tufinstitute.com. Or if you want more information on me and my real estate, check out Rhonda Lavoie .exprealty.com. Looking for me on socials, I'm on Instagram, Rhonda Lavoie _TUF, and on Facebook just as my name, Rhonda Lavoie. Reach out anytime. I'd love to hear from you. I really hope that you have a marvelous day, and I can't wait to bring you another episode next week.